Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to Real Laughs on 104.1. I'm your host, James Young. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. We got a great show. I'm joined on this show with a whole bunch of funny comedians. We got Mike Herlihy from the Obligatory Podcast. Mike, what's up?
Yes, sir. How you doing tonight, man?
I can't complain, man. I'm feeling pretty fired up and good, man. I'm blessed. We also got 2016 Monster Comedian of the Year, my partner in crime, Mr. Miguel Colon Jr. Miguel, what's up?
James? Chilling, James. Chilling.
I'm glad, man. I'm glad. We also got the godfather of Orlando comedy, Mr. Ken Miller. Ken, what's going on?
What up, little ugly dude?
I'll be that, man.
I'll be that.
I want to jump,
Red man.
I want to jump right into this, man, because we all know that I'm a black dude. Ken's a black dude.
What?
I know, Latino, and
I've seen
people...
James's organ. He's not just black. He's like Kenyan.
Yeah,
you know, it's like a Maasai spear. You know,
I'm like Whoopi Goldberg's kids in The Color Purple. Mama, I'm that. But anyway, I wanted to jump into something. Okay, of course we know what's going on right now in the world, and after George Floyd was killed, we know that what the problems are in this world that we're facing, whatnot. But there's a lot of protests going on, not just physically with protests and whatnot, people marching, but online. And it's weird because I didn't grow up a child of the internet. I mean, that was something that came later in my life. And for a lot of people, real life is what they see on social media, and their profiles and all that stuff is their real life. And I see a lot of protesting. And I just got to point this out because it's been weighing on me. I see a lot of trend protesting. I think that's the right word to use. I don't think it's an actual I don't think it's coming from a place of being genuine. I think right now it's a trend, and a lot of people are trying to get likes and trying to get a lot of pats on the backs by protesting online on the gram and the things I see on Facebook. We have a lot of people who are speaking out as if they're experts when they're not. And I just think it takes away from the sincerity of everything that's going on. And that could just be me. Maybe you guys feel a different way, but I'm just seeing some people do this, and it's I don't want this to become a thing where it happened and we all rally around it and we want to make change and we're all fighting for it. Then 3 months later, we're on to do something else and we forget about everything that went down.
Yeah. My thing is this, man. Not to cut you off. My thing is this. If you're doing it to get likes, yeah. If your thing is to soon as I take a picture of the cop about to swing on somebody, I got to post it right away. So if your post is, well, I did and I did and I did and I did, to me, you're not there for the right reason. If you have to post everything you do while you're protesting or while you out here trying to make a change, you're not doing it to make a change. You're doing it for likes. It's okay to go out here and do something good. It's like the people who give money to homeless people and then videotape it. But what is the purpose of that? You did something good for somebody. Now you need validation for it. No, you just did something good for somebody. I don't know y'all religious beliefs, but I believe in God. I've done something good for somebody. I feel he's going to bless me. I don't need everybody on Facebook and Instagram to bless me with likes and stuff. I just think it's if you're there for the cause, be there for the cause. You don't have to Instagram and Facebook every detail when you're protesting.
See, I'm kind of torn on it, actually, because while I agree with you that there are people out there that are just doing it for the likes and everything else, the other side of me goes, even if that's the reason, if it's someone that has 35,000 followers, and even if that message is still getting out to some of those followers untainted as, okay, this guy's doing it for the likes, but maybe it gets seen by someone who is in the Midwest or is not familiar with this or isn't at that protest, then I kind of feel like it's still getting the message out there. So it's kind of like, to me, it's a double-edged sword because, like, yes, maybe that person's doing it for the attention, but maybe that post is getting seen by someone who it's gonna change them and make it worthwhile to get that message out there. So I don't know.
To me, I can see that, but it always reminds me of like religion. If you're just talking the talk and you're not walking the walk, eventually you're gonna disenfranchise the people who are following you, the people who are seeing you out there. And then if you're making it just a trend and it's not something you're gonna constantly be fighting for, I can't expect the people who follow you to not just stop caring after a while too. Because I mean, at the end of the day, I see so many people like lecturing me and other people how they should be acting. But my thought is, do you have a plan for 3 months from now? Are you working on something? Because there are a lot of people. That's the thing. The movement right now is made up of a lot of people who have plans, who are working, who are thinking all the way to election day and past. Yeah. And then there's a lot of people who aren't. And I'm like, if you aren't, if you're in it just for the moment, then stop making the moment about you with so many I statements. Because if it's truly a movement about everybody, then where's the we and the unity? But why is it just I statements about you?
Yeah.
And there's things that people are doing that's going to make this fight a lot harder for certain movements to be taken seriously. Like the Black Lives Matter movement. There's people out there who are marching peacefully and they're not damaging any property, but there's people who think they're helping that are not Black or from Latin descent that are doing things like spray painting walls or destroying property and thinking they're helping our cause, but in fact, you're going to make us be looked upon in a certain way that we can't get the message heard because people are focusing on that.
And we were talking about that a bit off air, and I don't even fully believe those are just people who have their hearts in the right place, but their actions in the wrong place. I honestly, truly believe that there are instigators put into these crowds to do things like vandalize, cause damage.
Also true.
Because if you're peacefully protesting, the police have to allow you to protest. The military has to allow you to protest. That's your right as an American. But as soon as there's violence or damage to property, now all of a sudden they have the right to be like, oh, well, we had to move in because there was violence and destruction. And I kind of feel like that's a quick way to turn a peaceful protest into we're now allowed to use our authority to shut this down. Because when you think about it, I mean, I know I mentioned it before, but you had people with rifles en masse inside the state capitol in Michigan because they were upset that they couldn't go out to their hunting cabins for the weekends because they were on lockdown. And those same people now are complaining because people are out there peacefully protesting, and they're like, what are they doing out there in that large group? Don't they know there's still COVID-19 out there? You're a hypocrite is what you are. But as long as you're peacefully protesting, how can you move in and physically restrain them? Oh, all of a sudden they're burning down buildings and everything. The people that are in charge of Black Lives Matter know that they need to get their message across by peaceful demonstration. And the people who are against hearing that message, I feel are sending people in to cause violence and anger and destruction so that it can get shut down so that message cannot be heard. That's my personal belief.
Do you guys remember the Sublime song about the LA riots?
Yes.
Do you remember that? And how he's talking about he's breaking into the store to get a new guitar and everything. I think there's a lot of people like that too, that feel like they're there and they're there. That makes it matter. That's all that matters is they're there. And then they're going to do whatever they want. They're going to destroy stuff. They're going to steal. They're going to be, and they're going to justify it as, but I was there fighting the good fight.
There's people with their own personal motives for being there. When they first started the protest, I think a lot of their first arrests of people who were actually looting didn't even live there. There's people who just hear, oh, this is where this is going on. I can go get this, you know? And I don't think anyone who's serious about getting the message out is getting themselves involved with looting and destruction because they really just want to be heard. And they know that's the quickest way to end getting their message out. It's contradictory to what they're there for.
And I always wonder about these like militias and organizations that say they're stockpiling and they're getting ready for the day the government tries to take away the people's rights. And then they see things like this. I always wonder why they don't just join in and say, oh, look at this. The government's trying to take away people's rights. Just like I've been screaming about. This is my time. Well, but I wonder what the common denominator that keeps them away is. You know?
Well, it's funny you say that. I saw a story today, and I should have looked it back up what city it was. No, actually, it was in Indiana, and they had a peaceful protest. And as they were protesting, there were 5 people out there, white people, holding AR-16s and rifles and everything, watching these peaceful protesters walk by.
I saw the same story.
They wasn't there to help protest. They were there with their guns and like, if you act up, we're probably going to do something.
This guy made stories. He was the guy that pulled a bow and arrow out on a bunch of protesters.
Yeah.
Did you hear about that guy? And he said, and he got his ass beat. Here's the thing, though. He said he was there to protect the police. But then you look at that guy, they pull up his criminal history, and sure enough, he's been arrested how many times? And one of them was for assault on a police officer. So you tell me, was he there to protect the police, or did he see this as a free-for-all now I can finally inflict?
He saw it as a free-for-all, Mike. He told the reporter that he got beat up by 2 black African Americans.
All white people.
Watch that video.
All
it was
white
20
people.
White people deep. Yeah. I saw one black dude in that whole ass whooping.
He was like, yo, stop whooping that dude's ass.
I watched that and I was like, Hawkeye gone crazy.
Bro, he shot that dude close up too. Guy ran up on it. All you heard was what? And you just saw 20 plus white people beat that cat up, and he went on the news and said a black African. This you know he was lying when he said black African American.
You don't bring a knife to a gunfight. You don't bring a bow and arrow to a protest. That was like Hawkeye. We're taking on aliens from another dimension. You bought 12 arrows?
Bro, you don't bring one arrow, too. He brought one arrow.
I'm gonna need that arrow back.
I'm gonna need all 300 of you to line up with the softest part of you.
Yo,
look, I'm gonna tell you the truth.
He should have had a whole cavalcade of arrows, and he did.
A bevy of them. I'm gonna tell you the truth, man. I'm, my athleticism is nothing. I am not fast. But if somebody draws a bow and arrow on all of us, I'm like, the minute you fire that arrow, the 3 of us are gonna mourn our friend and whip your ass. The minute you fire that arrow, and I've watched Cameron Hayes, big game hunter. I've seen him. He says 80% of the shots you take, if you don't know what you're doing, are not a kill.
Oh yeah.
God forbid I just get real angry with an arrow in my fat ass. Yeah. Like that's it. You done.
Yo, 20 white people whooped his ass like he was
beat him down. Like he got a beat down, bro, and then went on the news and straight lie, and now the story's out. Like, bro, it wasn't us.
Now I saw another interview where he's saying he's being victimized, and I'm like, good. Yeah. That's not victimized. That's my man getting your dues. That's what that is, man.
That all the time about people who start something and get their ass whooped. Then they're the victim. I say that all the time. Nothing makes me angrier than somebody that pokes you and then you beat their ass and oh, I can't believe he beat me. Well, you were poking me for 2 hours.
All 20 of those white people got BET streaming for free.
They wanted to watch Preacher Special. That's why.
They all got it for free now.
They want to watch Preacher Special, bro.
Just came in the mail.
They got a lifetime supply of chicken sandwiches.
I was gonna say Biscuitville's got them hooked up, yo.
I did Jim Colbert's show Friday. I did Ross Patton's segment, and we talked about it. And I told him, I said, I'm not for the riots. I mean, not like the looting, but I'm not mad either. You know what I'm saying? I'm not mad at either, but I just don't want them to think that it's just black people tearing stuff up.
No, it's not.
You know what I'm saying? It's not just, if you go look at the videos, it's not just black people tearing stuff up.
I always said this during Hurricane Katrina. If you want to see fake news, it was going on long before Trump was president, because you would see in one story a black guy walking out of a store with a case of bottled water, and it'd be like, look at this guy looting this convenience store in his own town. And then there was a story about a white kid who stole a school bus to drive a bunch of people to the Stardome, and they're like, for a shelter, and he's like, look at this young, upstanding man who commandeered a bus. I'm like, oh, I get it. When it's black, it's looting. When it's white, it's commandeering. Mike, that's all it is.
It's the same as the Drew Brees. This Drew Brees thing. Drew Brees is talking junk about the NFL. We'll talk about it next.
Guys, don't go anywhere. More with Real Laughs when we get back. Welcome back, everybody. You are still listening to Real Laughs on 104.1. I am your host, James John. Just want to remind you guys, you can always listen to all our past shows and present shows on the iHeart app. You can listen to us on Spotify and iTunes. And you can always follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. I am joined by some very funny guys today. We have Mike Hurley in the house. We have Miguel Colon Jr. and the godfather of Orlando comedy, Ken Miller. Now, Ken, before break, you were going to bring up something that just happened with Mr. Drew Brees. He was a bit outspoken this week, but it got him a little bit in trouble. So go ahead.
Yeah, no, he was saying, he was being a little uppity. No, he was saying that he felt it was disrespectful for people to kneel for the national anthem. And Mike, who's the reporter who from Fox News? What's her name?
What was it, Laura something?
Yeah,
you keep talking, I'll find it.
And she said, she was like, that's right, he has the right to say that. But when LeBron and them spoke out about I can't breathe and cops killing young black kids, she told them to shut up and keep dribbling. Yeah. So if he's an athlete, well, shut up and keep throwing the ball. You can't have this. You got to have the same energy for a white athlete that you have for a black athlete. You know what I mean? We were talking about how it's seen differently when somebody white does it, but when somebody black does it, it's controversial. You know what I mean? And I hate Drew Brees anyway because he in the NFC South, and so are the Panthers.
Fox News host Laura Ingraham.
Gotcha.
And they were destroying her on Twitter about it, man.
Yeah, crazy thing about that, Drew Brees knows how many black NFL players are behind the peaceful protests that they were doing, kneeling, which is kind of a job hazard. Like, why would you piss off your coworkers when you know they're the only thing stopping a 225-pound man coming to knock your head off? So why would you make them upset when they're the one protecting your neck? Yeah. It don't make sense.
Because most offensive linemen white, and he like, I'm cool.
Yeah. He's sitting there with the O line and the kicker, and they're like, I understand where you're coming from. except for the kicker, because the kicker's like, in my country, these protests, you get shot.
Yeah. Dude, I said this on Jim's show Friday. I said this. I'm a veteran. 9 years in the United States Army, and Miguel, I may be speaking for your father. I don't know how he would feel about it. I have no issue with anybody sitting or kneeling for the national anthem. I fought for this country for you to have that opportunity to do that. If I went to the game with my son and my son said, Daddy, I'm not standing, I'm like, cool, don't. I'm standing because as a veteran, I feel like as I serve this country, I'm obligated to stand for the flag that I worked for 9 years. If you don't want to stand, I got zero problem with that. To the point where I even Facebooked it. I was like, all my veteran friends on here, does it bother you? Out of the 380 veterans I have on my page, one person was upset about it. Mm-hmm. One person, and he owns a comedy club in Melbourne.
See, here's the way here's the way I've always thought about it. And Ken, maybe you could tell me, what year was it that they actually started bringing out the flag at the beginning of the NFL?
It had to be.
It wasn't always, right?
It wasn't always. From what I know of the story, and I could be wrong, the NFL is paid a certain amount of money to do the national anthem and bring the flag out.
It became an advertising for recruitment, right?
Yeah.
Now, here's how I feel. Like, I get that a lot of us, when you break it down, the NFL is a private employer, all right? Mm-hmm. So I get that, like, certain people can't go to their jobs and protest because you're on company time. During that time, they're paying you. And whether they have the right to control your belief or not, you're also there to work or whatever else. So here's how I kind of feel. That's fine if you don't want to allow your players to kneel while they have this public forum, but also don't expect them to have to go out there when you're doing something so ceremoniously. I think they should have the right to just stay in the locker room if they didn't want to come out, and that could have been a sign of protest. You know,
I think the NFL. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Some actual players did do that, but Mike, to speak on what you said, if it's a private company and they're and at this point the armed services is a
advertiser,
an advertiser. Then that's not on me. Then, like, if McDonald's is doing it, I don't have to sing "All Beef Patty Special Song."
You don't see, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Pepsi is the official Coke of the NFL. I don't have to drink Pepsi because they're the official drink of the NFL.
The NFL can't tell me that this has anything to do with a disgusting lack of patriotism when they're getting paid for it. Give the money back. Give the money back. Give the money back. If you give the money back, at least you could say it wasn't about the money.
Can you imagine before your job, and the NFL is a job, the NBA is a job. Can you imagine before we did this show every night, we had to stand for the national anthem?
I tell you, I'll see you guys at 10:15.
Can you imagine that we had to stand? And my thing is this about the sports part of it. What is the and this is the argument. This is what made me get off Facebook, because I had this argument with a lady. I said, I need to get off Facebook for in 30 days is what I'm going to be gone for. My argument with her was, You can play it. It's fine. But why does the national anthem need to be played for the 0-7 and 0-7 Cleveland Browns versus the Tampa Bay Bucks? Why are we playing the national anthem? The Olympics, yes. The first game of the World Series, first game, the Super Bowl, first game of the finals. Those are like
Miguel. Miguel, you come from a military background. If you gotta go to an event for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, shouldn't they play taps? Like, to be
honest, if you play the national anthem during a soccer game, it's like half these people ain't from here, man.
Ain't from here. You know what I mean? Like, what is the purpose of what is and once again, if you're listening to the show, I am a veteran. Miguel's father's a veteran. Understand this. I'm not making a mockery of the anthem. I respect it. I stood for the anthem for 9 years, and I fought for this country because that's what I wanted to do. But there is no reason why the anthem needs to be played to watch the Phoenix Suns play the Orlando Magic in a preseason game. It doesn't need to be done. It doesn't. It doesn't need to be done. It's a waste of time. And I'm a veteran, and I think it's a complete waste of time. Now, the Olympics, we should have everybody's national anthem. First,
ours should be a little louder. Like the way my mic is always a little lower. That's how every other country's anthem.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's a technical issue. I don't know.
Hey, look, I know this ain't popular to say, and I know we're fighting racial inequality right now, but I couldn't do this show if we had to have the national anthem played or if we let somebody sing it, especially if it's a black dude. I do not have 38 minutes for you to get
and the little reverb.
I think it was Whitney Houston got the longest. Hers was like 7 minutes.
It was 2.5 days.
Yeah.
Man, white people, we had Roseanne sing it once, never again. Never again.
Hey, my thing is too, man, like the NASCAR always gets me. How are you going to get so patriotic? And then I understand that what we call the Confederate flag isn't a flag for the entire Confederacy. But I mean, how are you going to get mad I'm not standing for the national anthem and then you're going to rock the flag of the country that said, that's not my president. We're going to leave the United States and we're going to kill United States soldiers. That's what they did. You know?
That sounds treasonous.
Yeah, I don't know about you. I love when everybody tells me it's just history. And I'm like, I mean, then why don't we have the Spanish flag flying over the Florida Capitol? Because that's history here, too.
Well, Miguel, your dad being Marine, did you hear about this week what went on with the Confederate flag?
Commandant of the Marine Corps ruled that the Confederate flag can no longer be placed on vehicles inside houses or outside houses or worn anywhere by active duty United States
bumper stickers, mugs, everything. Yeah.
No, because that's a big deal, right?
Yeah. And also, too, I don't know if you saw the story of the Marine that stood at attention in front of City Hall with the I Can't Breathe mask on.
Yeah,
and he had on his uniform.
I don't think it was a mask. I think it was duct tape. He had
duct tape. Yeah, he had duct tape. Yeah, he had duct tape. Yeah.
You mean the story of the Marine who hooked up with every college white girl from a liberal arts school after that? You know?
They said
the Army guy from 1995 to 1999 who hooked up with every girl in Fort Huachuca, Arizona, and Tucson, whose name is not Ken Miller.
I don't know if this is right, but one of the headlines I saw about that Marine, Ken, was that his shoes were actually melting from the heat.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Poor friends.
I wore them shoes before. It wasn't the shoes. More than likely, it was the polish from the shoes. Yeah. Them shoes, bro. I was stationed in Arizona for 4 years, 110 degrees at some days, standing on the parade field. My shoes never melted. Now, I may have melted. At one time, I was 6'6".
At one time, I was 6'6".
6'2" now.
But the man took 4 inches from me,
bro. Let me tell you something. Ain't nothing worse than a change of command. And I was the guidon bearer, so I carried the flag, so I couldn't pass out. Everybody else passing out. I was at attention for 4.5 hours. When they released us, and Miguel, you know a change of command. Yeah. When they released us, I stood there. One of my friends had to come get me and
your legs were locked and you couldn't move.
My legs were locked. I couldn't. If I would have took a step, I would have fell over. I stood in attention so long. The new sergeant major gave me a 4-day weekend. he said, Private, I've never seen anybody stand at attention for 4.5 hours. You got the next week. He gave me a 4-day weekend, bro.
Bigger than a 96.
You standing in one spot like this for 4.5 hours.
You were holding the flag. You were holding the flag, right?
I was holding the guide. I was holding the flag for my company, Delta Company 521st, Fort Huachuca, Arizona. James, if I can find a picture, I have a picture of me. And I got my Kevlar on. I got all of my everything on, and I'm the only one standing. Everybody else is
passed out. Because they lock. Hey James, sometimes they lock their legs when they're standing.
Don't lock their knees, bro.
Yeah, they lock their knees, and it causes the blood flow to be interrupted, and then you start watching guys drop.
Just drop, bro. And I stood there 4.5.
Nobody runs.
Pick you up. You laid out.
Ken, how long you standing by yourself? How long would you guess? By yourself?
Probably the last 45 minutes, because it was a change of command for the Sergeant Major, and it was supposed to be an hour. It was supposed to be an hour, bro, but it was 4.5 hours because everybody wanted to talk because our Sergeant Major, we loved him, and he was retiring, and everybody had something to say. And probably about 45 minutes. The end of it was just me and my commander. My commander was in front of me. My first sergeant fell out.
No, really?
Sergeant fell out. It was me and the commander of my company. We was it, bro. We was it, and they gave me a 4-day weekend, my dude. 4-day weekend for standing in there. But somebody had to carry my ass off the.
Damn.
I was like, medic. Somebody had to carry my ass off, bro.
Ken, that sounds like a reenactment of Glory, bro. Like you were just
let me tell you something, man.
Shoes, son. You just wanted
bro.
Shoes.
And the 4 years I spent in Fort Huachuca, I was a baby. I was 18 years old. You know what I'm saying? So I'm on my own for the first time. It was my college. It was my 4 years of college. I enjoyed every moment of it. And if anybody say, would you change it? Bruh, no, son. The time I almost got arrested in Mexico by the federales. Man, they were about to put a taco on my ass, B. I was like, no, son. Son, I was in Tijuana fighting, bro. I hit a dude upside the head with a Hennessy bottle.
Oh, was it empty?
That was full of liquor.
Wow. Oh, you know it had to be bad if Ken's wasting liquor.
No. Dude, I was fighting. The dude tossed me over the bar. So
and you get up. Took a swig and hit him. I imagine you taking a swig of it.
I should have took a swig, bro. Pop dude upside the head, bro. Yeah, man.
Lord. Dang it.
I feel like that's how that Quentin Tarantino movie with all the vampires started. Was that it?
Dusk Till Dawn, yeah.
Son, I was like, yo, this is a real Dusk Till Dawn moment. You know what? Unlike the movie, it doesn't break.
No,
it never breaks. It never breaks.
And it kills the guy.
Yeah. So, but the guy was Mexican, so they gave Ken a medal. But anyway,
Trump just gave him a medal. Like, Ken Miller, I heard about your actions in Mexico.
Just check my mail today. I got my Medal of Honor from Trump for buzzing the Mexican.
Thank you for enforcing our foreign policies over borders.
All right, guys, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with some hilarity, I swear, when we return on Real Laughs. There we go. Good.
That was good. That's third segment coming up, right? Yeah.
Yep. This is it. It's the last one.
Yeah.
Word up.
I heard now, Ken, man. I mean, dudes lose their fucking career for fighting now and stuff like that.
Yeah. But you're talking about the 90s where man. Dude, that's why I want to talk about the speeding thing, bro. I got pulled over. I was going 99 miles per hour in a 35.
Oh my God, man.
In a 35. And and that dude was like, I'm about to call your first sergeant. And I was like the best soldier in the unit. Like, y'all know Clown Ken. Y'all didn't know Serious. Y'all didn't know that Ken. That Ken, yes, sir, yes, sir. Y'all didn't know that guy. Like, I'm not even near that. Like, I'm lazy now.
Let's talk about that. Let's do it. Let's knock it out. Here we go. Welcome back, everybody. You are still rocking with Real Laughs on 104.1. I am your host, Mr. James John. I'm joined by Mike Herlihy, Miguel Colon Jr., and Ken Miller, the military
criminal, baby.
Yeah, well, I want to talk to you a little bit because you were just talking last segment about the fact that you have served. You're a veteran in the Army, my friend. but you did some stuff that is unbecoming of a soldier. We talked about a little bit because there's a news story out there right now about let me make sure I get this right. There is a teen in Canada who was caught driving 191 miles per hour. And I know we all got these stories. When we were young, I admit it, I had a lead foot. I gotten plenty of speeding tickets in my career. But you said, Ken, you were going how fast and what speed zone?
I was going 91 in a 35. 35 or 45.
191 in Canada, though. That's the metric system. So that's closer like 600.
This dude was going 600 miles per hour. Bro.
It's like, how'd the cops catch him? They were speeding too.
He was driving the Mach 5, dude.
Yeah, that Mountie had the fastest horse on record.
He did like in Star Wars. He just showed up wherever he was going. Right there.
Bruh, I was going 90. This is the story, though. I had just got my license. I didn't get a license till I got in the military. I had a military, because my mama, you couldn't get a license in North Carolina unless you was on somebody's insurance. And my mom was like, well, you ain't about to be on my insurance, make it go up. So I had my military license first. I was driving a Humvee, a Deuce and a half, a 5-ton, and a bus before I had a civilian's driver license. So I finally got my driver's license. I bought a brand new car, Mitsubishi Mirage. My first ever car, 1995. And I was on my way to Tucson to the NCO club at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base. And me and my homeboy, Mike Jordan, and yes, his name is really Michael Jordan, and he's from North Carolina. We were going 91 in I'm going to say a 45. I think it was a 45.
Well, okay, Ken, first, why were you going that fast?
He had to get to the NCO club.
I'm trying to get to the NCO. It's an Air Force base. You know how many hoes on Air Force base, bro?
No, Ken, I didn't know that was a prerequisite for the Air Force.
You ain't got to beat these hoes out. But look, so, I'm going 91, bro, like speeding. I get pulled over, and I'm shaking because, you know, like if you guys don't know me, when I was in the military, I was goody two-shoes. And all my military friends, I never got in trouble.
Okay,
I was
this is before Sin Miller.
Yeah, you way before Sin Miller. I didn't even drink like that back then. Like I didn't even drink like that. No, I wasn't even into alcohol like that. I would have a drink in the club and nurse it all night.
Wow.
Like way before then. Now I was having sex with a lot of women, but I was responsible when I did it. But so the cop tells me to get out the car. My homeboy turns the music up. And this whoop, there it is. I can't forget the song. It was whoop, there it is.
Yeah.
I said, Tag team. I said, Mike, turn the music down. He says, man, I ain't driving. He said, I ain't driving. The cop pulled me to the back. He said, you know how fast you was going? I was like, no, sir. He said, you were going 91 in a 45. I'm supposed to take you to jail. I said, sir, please don't take me to jail. I just got my license. Like I'm Sergeant Major's favorite soldier. Please don't. He said, look, you just got your license, nothing on your record. I'm just going to give you a warning, but please slow down. Bro, when I tell you I drove 46 miles per hour all the way to Tucson, and it's a back road that gets you on the highway. The highway's 70. I was 46 on the highway. My boy Jordan was like, dog, we going to miss these girls. I say, bro, I was still shaking. Because I never got pulled over before. I was still shaking all the way because I was the good soldier and I didn't want to get in trouble.
Now, you told me that he said something to you. He said, now I'm going to call your who because you've been going this fast.
My first sergeant. He was going to call my first sergeant because if they take you to jail, the first sergeant who they call to come get you up out of jail because I don't have no parents or nothing there, so they're actually in charge of you. So it'll either be your squad leader, who's a sergeant, or your first sergeant. And at the end of the week, we had something called a safety briefing. Miguel, you know the safety briefing when they tell you don't drink and drive, don't drink and swim, wear a condom, all the stuff they tell you at the end of the weekend to let you know you free for the weekend. And so I didn't want them to call my first sergeant because I was the good guy. You know what I'm saying? I was a good soldier. Dude, one time I had a fake ID made, a fake military ID made, and CID went through, which is Criminal Investigation Division, and they found out everybody that got one made. My name wasn't on the list, and I still told on myself. I told my first son, I got one. My birthday was in 4 days, and I got a fake ID because I wanted to go out of town and drink. And my first son's like, Private Miller, I'm so disappointed in you. You never get in trouble. I said, first of all, I know that's why I came to you to tell you. And he checked the list, and I wasn't even on the list. And he took it and he cut it up. He said, you better not ever get in trouble again. I left up out of there, and I never got in trouble. I was a model soldier, bro. Like, I never got in trouble. Never got in trouble.
Ken, did you ever get those speeches? Because I would like tag along with my dad, so sometimes I'd have to sit there while he would give the, like, especially when he was like a gunny. You know, when he was like a gunny, he had to give the speech all the time about, man, don't go to no pawn shops and buy things you can't afford. Don't go to the car dealer. And sometimes me and him on Saturdays before we would go, we were in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. On Saturdays before we would go out, we would see a car dealership having this big ass sale, and he'd be like, hold on. And we would roll in there, and he would walk around to see what Marines he saw in there, and he would yank them out and put them in our car and be like, we're leaving.
Yeah,
we're leaving.
Because they would take advantage of you. They knew when I bought my Mitsubishi, I put 2 12s in the trunk.
Oh my God!
In a hatchback.
It cost me $1,200 in the trunk of a Mitsubishi Mirage. You're like, why, dude? It had a tape deck. What do I need to blast with a tape deck, bro?
Whoop! There it is. Apparently,
bro. I'm telling you, people, anybody military listening to this, or you lived on base or near base, outside the base, they take advantage of soldiers because they know you gonna spend that money, bro. You gonna,
but you got nothing else to do with it, right?
You got nothing else to do.
I saw written on a whiteboard, Ken. No lie, written on a whiteboard. I'm walking around the barracks, and they're written on a whiteboard said, "Do not bring a stripper home. She doesn't love you." And it was written on the whiteboard, and underneath it says, "Staff Sergeant so and so quote." Like, this was his quote.
Staff Sergeant's like, learn from my mistake.
Yeah,
does not love you.
You guys have all been on the road, man, and we do a lot of gigs in military towns, like up in the Panhandle, or when you get up to the Carolinas and stuff like that. Yes. And what do you find less than 20 miles, less than 15 miles away from any of these bases? That's where every strip club is in that town.
And pawn shop, car dealership.
The funny thing is, and bail bonds. And the funny thing is, you can go into those strip clubs, not me personally, of course, but I mean, you as a comic can go into those strip clubs, and the girls will know what days people get paid. And there's been times that guys will come in with their paycheck, drop their whole paycheck for the week, because you got to remember, what you guys... Ken, military, your food's covered, your clothes covered. So when you get that paycheck, it's not a lot, but it's enough for you to go out and do something. They will spend their whole paycheck in one day at the club and know that they're just eating on base till the next paycheck.
Paycheck. But it's crazy because soldiers will go there, meet a girl and marry her.
Yeah, take her.
And take her.
She knows it.
She knows it, and she's living a good life. She living a good life, yo. You living on base, you ain't paying no rent, you ain't doing nothing. But then that soldier goes on to the field, and his homeboy over there hitting.
Yeah. And
back to
oh no, Ken, by an air base too, where they know they get him a pilot. Oh,
that's the big bucks, right?
Pilot,
but go ahead, James. But that was my story for speed. Now I went on over.
Yeah, back to speeding. I lucked out on my first speeding ticket. I had a group of friends. I had the 1987 Mustang. We had driven down to Palm Beach. Yeah, okay. I talk about it in my show, but it's a real thing. It was held together by Bondo. You know, you could see the ground beneath the floorboard. That's how it was. Wow. But we came back from Palm Beach, and you know how sometimes when you get off a highway, you've been doing 75, 80, and then you get off, and you're just, it's late at night, you're the only car at the road, so you got nothing to judge yourself by. I think I was doing like 60 and like a 35 or a 40 or something just because I got off on the road, you know, got off on the exit. Yep. So we get pulled over. We get pulled over. A cop comes up. I've never been pulled over. It's my dad's car. He's letting me use, and I'm freaking out. You know, the cop comes up and everything else, and I'm not talking my way out of it. It's you know, I had no experience trying to talk, so I just automatically, he's like, I pulled you over, you were going this fast, here's your ticket. I'm like, I'm sorry. Freaked out the whole way home because I didn't want to tell my dad or anything. I was coaching police athletic league hockey at the time, like a spring break coaching session where I was working with cops. So I went back that Saturday morning, and I was telling the cops, I'm like, yeah, I got pulled over for speeding. They're like, what happened? And I told them, they're like, here's what you do. You go in, you don't pay it. You take the court date. I know that cop. What you do is you go in and you tell them the reason you were pulled over into the fast lane is because there was a semi riding your ass and you were just trying to get out of its way. He's like, because here's, I don't know if this is how radar still works, but radar at the time either picks up the fastest moving object or the largest object. So he said once you put into your story that there was a semi barreling behind you and you moved into the fast lane to get out of its way, any good judge is automatically going to go, well, obviously that radar picked up that fast-moving semi. Dude, I went to court, said that exact story. I was the only car on the road. I went into court, said that exact same story. The judge was like, well, it sounds like, he looked at the officer and he asked the officer, he's like, do you know if there was a semi? And the cop was just like, I didn't see one, but I can't be 100% on that, Your Honor. And that was it. Like, okay, Mr. Hurley, just keep it slow, keep blah, 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 and try not to drive so fast late at night. And that was it. That was my first and only speeding ticket as a teen. Yeah.
And did the cop also tell you to tell the judge that you were white? Because that normally helps.
In my town, everybody was white, so it wasn't a big deal.
Damn, yeah. I got pulled over on the turnpike. It was going to go do a gig, and I was with a friend of the show, Kevin White. I was going about, it's what, 70 when you're down the turnpike?
Yeah.
Almost to 10. I was probably doing about 93. Not too crazy, not too bad, but I never get tickets though, man. And I'm in a rental car, and I'm like, God.
I was going to say, did you have the Charger? Because the Charger, you can't even feel like you're doing 90 in your Charger. Yeah.
No, dude. So I get pulled over, and I'm trying to talk my way out of this. Like, hey, sorry, I'm doing a gig. We're going to be late. And this was a woman. She didn't care. She didn't care at all. She was like, well, yeah, that sounds, I understand what you're saying. So you can fill this out. You can pay the ticket at this courthouse, and you can buy, bro. I was just stuck 93 and like a 70. God damn it. I couldn't do anything about it. Just stuck.
How about you, Miguel?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you this much, too. If you guys ever get a chance, hire a ticket lawyer. If you ever get a ticket lawyer.
Ticket clinic?
Yeah. Ticket clinic. Whoa, Hurley. They haven't paid us yet, so blur that out, but we'll see. But yeah. Oh, my God, yeah, because what happens is these ticket lawyers, they round up all these cases. You pay like $69, $89. They lump them all together. They show up to court one day with like 200 cases, and they're just knocking them all out, but they know the ins and outs. And one of my guys got him. He goes, well, the first thing we're going to do is find out if they have calibrated their radar guns lately, because they're supposed to calibrate them and keep a record of it, but nobody does. So once they finds out if the gun's not calibrated, he had me for going 85 and a 55 because I thought I was on the turnpike. I thought I was on. I thought I was riding at night, and I was like, "Oh, this one." And it was a 55 road leading in there, so I was still speeding. But ticket lawyers, man, if you know you're guilty and you know you're going to be paying anyway, and you don't want to go to the court date, get a ticket.
And you don't want those points on the ticket,
always,
or on your license.
Kills me. That's what killed me.
Yeah, but I was speeding when I was on the road with the president, and I tried to use my flip top with my presidential thing to get out of, and they was like, "Yeah, here's your ticket." I was like, "God."
Yeah. She did not budge, man. She was a Spanish cop. She did not care. I tried my damnedest. Like, ooh, my wife's Puerto Rican. She's like, ooh, okay. Anyway,
that's really nice. Maybe we went to school together.
Well, I wasn't at the wedding, so here's just.
Now, guys, before we go real quick, got about 30 seconds. You guys performing anywhere this weekend at all?
Actually, yes. I thought a gig got canceled. It turns out they did not cancel it. So I will be opening for Mr. James John down at the beautiful Riverside Theater in Vero Beach, Florida.
Beach.
Oh, nice.
One of my favorite clubs, man.
I like, and part of the only reason I'm going is because I know you can walk into that big, beautiful green room, walk up on that big stage. Like, I'm still gonna sell merch. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But guys, socially distance the rest.
Good night. We will see you guys all tomorrow right here on Real Last 104.3.